Assalamualaikum and hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to discuss about bad debt recovery using direct write-off method and allowance method. Now, what is the meaning of bad debt recovery? So, bad debt recovery is the amount of debts that is recovered either in whole or in part after it has been written off or classified as bad debts. So, bad debt recovery are debts repaid by customers after the debts have been written off as bad debts. Number 2, bad debt recovery represent an unexpected gain and are considered as revenue when we record in the statement of income. And there are a few steps when you want to record the journal entry to record bad debt recovery. The first step, we have to record bad debt recovery. And the second step, we have to record cash received from customer. So, we look at the step when we record bad debt recovery under direct write-off method. The first one, we have to record the account receivable debit and credit bad debt recovery. So, we have to record account receivable in the debit side because we want to reinstate previously written off account. Or, in other words, we have to reopen account receivable that we have written off previous year or previous month. And the second step, so you know, the bad debt recovery is in credit side because that one is revenue or other revenue in the statement of income. And the second step, when we receive cash from account receivable, we have to debit cash and we have to credit account receivable. We have to close account receivable because they have made payment to the company. So, we should record cash received from customer. This one we have to record under direct write-off method. Now we look at the bad debt recovery by using allowance method. There are also two steps. Firstly, we have to reopen account receivable because the customer want to pay the debt. And when we want to reopen account receivable, so debit account receivable and credit allowance for doubtful debts. Okay, the difference here is we use allowance method. It means that the company applied allowance method from last year. And the second step, we have to record cash in the debit side and account receivable in the credit side because the account receivable that we reopen and now the second step we have to close account receivable because the customer had paid its debts to the company. So this is the allowance. Now we look at the example number 1. We are using direct write-off method. So, from the question, Rainbow Company Limited have the balance of account receivable and had a few transactions related to account receivable. The first one, the 31st of July, write-off account receivable, and the 30th of November, bad debt recovery. So, we have to record in the journal entry. The 31st of July, debit bad debts and credit account receivable. So bad debt increase account receivable credit because it will reduce the amount of account receivable. So the 30th of November, we have to record bad debt recovery. So the first step, we must debit account receivable because we want to reopen or reinstate previously written off. So credit bad debt recovery. And we know bad debt recovery categorized as revenue in the statement of income. And the second step, debit cash and credit account receivable. We debit cash because the company received cash from customer. And now we look at the second example where we use allowance method. So Rainbow Company Limited have the balance of account receivable from last year and also have allowance for doubtful debt for 1,000. So it means that the company are using allowance method. The transaction below relate to account receivable for the year 2019. So the 31st of July, the company writes off account receivable with the amount of 650 and 30th of November, bad debt recovery, or in other words, the account receivable want to pay their debts. So we have to record in the journal entry using allowance method. So the first step, you can see that debit allowance for doubtful debt and credit account receivable. This is the date of 31st July. We have to write off account receivable. And 30th of November, it discovered that there are bad debt recovery. So the first step, we have to debit account receivable because we want to reopen account receivable that we had written off, and credit account for allowance for doubtful debts. And the second one, the second step, debit cash because the company received cash from the customer, and credit account receivable. This is the amount that customer paid to the company. That's all. This company used the allowance method. And that's all for today. Don't forget to watch my next video. Thank you.